In the dark where secrets fall.
Darkness falls and the world grows silent. But in the still of the night, some things refuse to rest. Tonight, we take you deep into the heart of an eerie orchard where the fruit grows unnaturally sweet. The trees whisper in the wind, and the ground holds secrets best left undisturbed. A place where the past refuses to stay buried, and the dead are never truly gone. This is the curse of the haunted grove, a chilling tale of forgotten souls, restless spirits, and the price one man paid for disturbing the dead. Close your eyes, listen closely, and whatever you do, don't look behind you. Welcome to Sleepy Horror Tales. People say that places with dense trees and lush greenery often harbor strong supernatural energy, especially those damp, cold areas where moss and vines creep over every surface and where the ground seems perpetually shrouded in an eerie gloom. These places, they say, are where restless spirits roam, souls with no home, no peace, lingering in the shadows. Our elders always warned, if you ever find yourself wandering at night and need to relieve yourself, never pick a spot that's dark, damp, and overgrown with moss. You might finish your business, but you may not leave alone. Some laugh at these tales, dismissing them as mere superstition. But those who felt that bone-chilling sensation of being watched while passing through an abandoned garden or an old graveyard in the dead of night, they know something is out there. This is a story about a cursed garden, one that defies science, one that hides secrets buried deep beneath the roots. And this isn't just a legend. This happened in the heart of the Vietnamese countryside. In a quiet riverside village, there was a garden unlike any other. It was vast, teeming with fruit trees that bore heavy, luscious fruit year-round. No matter the season, the trees stood tall, their leaves never wilting, their branches bending under the weight of unnaturally sweet produce. The owner of the garden was old Man Bay, a reclusive farmer who lived alone, with no family, no friends. What baffled the villagers was that Bay never used fertilizer. No one ever saw him tend to the soil, yet his trees flourished in a way that defied nature. When asked about his secret, he would only chuckle. The land here is rich, it doesn't need anything else. It was a vague answer, but no one dared press further. Because, despite the garden's abundance, no one in the village ever dared to step foot inside. There were rumors. At night, those passing by the garden claimed they heard whispers, murmurs in the wind, voices just beneath the rustling of leaves. Some villagers swore they saw figures moving between the trees, silhouettes shifting in the darkness. But come morning, there was never anyone there. Then, one night, a group of thieves snuck into the garden, hoping to steal some of Bay's prized fruit. By morning, they were found unconscious on the ground, faces pale, mouths filled with dirt, eyes wide open in sheer terror. From that day on, no one dared to step inside the garden again. But because the thefts persisted, Old Man Bay decided to hire a young man named Dong to watch over the land at night. Dong was a strong-willed young man, skeptical of ghost stories. He believed the villagers were just scaring themselves with old superstitions. On his first night, he set up a small tent at the edge of the garden. The wind howled through the trees, sending leaves into a chorus of whispers. Then, thud, something heavy fell right in front of him. Dong's heart nearly jumped out of his chest. He grabbed a flashlight and hesitantly peered down. A human hand, or at least That's what it looked like. He reached out with trembling fingers, only to realize it was just a gnarled, twisted tree branch. He let out a breathy chuckle, shaking his head. Damn shadows playing tricks on me. But then he saw something else. Footprints. They trailed off into the deeper parts of the garden. But there was something odd about them. One foot pressed firmly into the soil. The other seemed to drag, as if whoever left them had a broken leg. Curious, Dong followed the footprints deeper into the trees. Then, thump, something dropped from above, hitting him hard on the shoulder. Before he could react, a cold breath ghosted down his neck. A whisper soft, rasping, inhuman, then darkness swallowed him whole. By morning, Dong was found sprawled on the ground, his clothes damp with dew, his mouth filled with dirt. But he wasn't alone. Beside him lay a man neither the villagers nor old Manbei had ever seen before. His leg was twisted at an unnatural angle, his face frozen in a silent scream, eyes staring blankly into nothingness. Old Manbei chuckled when he saw them. See, no ghosts. Just another thief who got drunk, tripped, and broke his own damn leg. But Dong wasn't so sure. Something was wrong with that garden, and he intended to find out what. Despite the terror of the previous night, Dong wasn't ready to give up. If anything, his curiosity burned brighter. That evening, he sat outside his tent, gripping a wooden club in his hands, eyes locked onto the darkness beyond the trees. The garden was eerily silent. No wind, no rustling leaves, not even the usual chirping of crickets. Then movement, a shadow slipped between the trunks. Dong's breath hitched. He clenched his club tighter, but when he focused, he saw it was just a patch of overgrown weeds swaying unnaturally. Wait, not swaying, growing. Right before his eyes, the weeds stretched taller, as if something beneath the soil was pushing them upward. Then he saw it. Fingers. Pale, skeletal fingers clawing their way out of the earth. Dong's breath came in sharp gasps. His grip on the club tightened. Then a whisper low, broken, just behind him. Give it back. Give it back to me. The air turned ice cold. A breath cold, rotting drifted against his skin. Dong spun around. A face, sunken eyes, hollow cheeks, skin so pale it almost glowed in the moonlight. It was inches from his own. Then the hands beneath the soil lunged for his legs. The last thing he felt was the ground opening beneath him, pulling him into the earth. Darkness, silence, nothing. By dawn, the villagers found Dong half buried in the dirt, his body covered in scratches, his breath coming in short, panicked gasps. His hands were clenched tight around something. When they pried them open, they found bones, human bones, and that was just the beginning. When Dong came to, he was lying on a cot inside his home, surrounded by worried villagers. His hands still trembled, his breath ragged, but the memory of last night burned fresh in his mind. The bones, the hands, the voice, and the face that had been inches from his own. Yet, when he tried to explain, old Manbei just laughed. Boy, you're letting your imagination run wild. What? You think the dead are just crawling out of the ground to say hello. But the villagers weren't laughing. Whispers spread like wildfire. Some claimed Dong had disturbed something that should have been left alone. Others swore that the garden had always been cursed, that old man-based trees weren't thriving on good soil, but on something far more sinister. Dong, still weak but determined, decided he had to know the truth. That night, armed with a shovel and a lantern, he returned to the garden. This time, he wouldn't run. This time, he would dig. The air was thick with humidity, but the night was eerily silent. Even the insects refused to sing. Dong planted his shovel into the earth. One scoop, then another and another, then thud. Something hard, not rock, not wood, something else. He dug faster, his heartbeat hammering in his ears. Then, under the moonlight, the truth revealed itself. Bones. Dozens of them, some brittle and old, others disturbingly fresh. Skulls with empty eye sockets, fingers curled as if clawing their way out of the dirt. It wasn't just a garden, it was a graveyard. Dong stumbled back, bile rising in his throat. He turned to run only to freeze. Something moved beneath the trees. Not just one thing, many things. Figures shadowy and silent, rising from the soil. Their limbs twisted unnaturally, their eyes hollow, their mouths stretched wide in silent screams. Then you took from us, the words slithered through the air, raspy and cold, as if whispered by the wind itself. Then they moved. Dong didn't hesitate. He ran. Through the trees, past the rows of cursed fruit, past the garden that had been feeding off the dead for years. He ran until his legs burned, until his lungs screamed, until he reached the village. By the time he reached safety, his mind was already made up. The garden had to be destroyed. By morning, the entire village stood before Old Man Bay's house. They demanded answers. Faced with the angry crowd, Bay's usual smirk faltered. He hesitated, then sighed. Fine, you want the truth. Here it is, and he told them. Decades ago, the land had been a forgotten burial ground. The poor and the nameless were buried here without proper graves, without proper rites. When Bay bought the land, he didn't move the bodies. He didn't want to deal with the spirits. So, instead, he covered them with more soil and planted his trees. And as the years passed, the bodies decayed. Their flesh fed the roots. Their bones became the foundation of the soil. And their spirits, bound by hunger and rage, seeped into every leaf, every branch, every piece of fruit that the villagers had unknowingly eaten. A horrified silence fell over the crowd. Then someone spoke. We have to burn it, and so they did. The villagers set fire to the garden, watching as the flames consumed the cursed trees. Smoke rose into the sky, thick and black, and with it, faint echoes of voices, the murmurs of souls finally released. As the last tree fell, the ground shuddered. Then silence. The curse had been lifted. Or so they thought. The village moved on. The garden was left as an empty field, nothing ever growing there again. But Dong-hee was never the same. Even after leaving the village, even after years had passed, he still had nightmares. He would wake up drenched in sweat, his throat raw from screaming. And always the same words echoed in his head. We are still here. And in the dead of night, if he listened closely enough, he could still hear the whispers in the wind. And so the orchard stands abandoned, silent, empty, yet never truly lifeless. The whispers still drift through the dead trees, and those who stray too close swear they feel unseen eyes watching from the shadows. Some say the curse ended when the truth was unearthed. Others believe the restless souls are still waiting for the next fool to set foot on their land, to pull them down into the earth with them. But that's just a story, right? Or is it? Thank you for listening to Sleepy Horror Tales. If you enjoyed tonight's story, be sure to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments would you dare step into the haunted grove. Until next time, sleep tight, and remember some things are best left undisturbed.
Is it the wind or a ghost?